speck of dust, that's us sitting on a Greyhound bus, and we're a long way from home. You shake hands, make plans, write your story in the sand, and then get ready to run, and time, every time I try to find it, it falls.
Nuair a bhí tripledy an túisgurt in na géar thuúthail a dús na nochtadí, bhí tror deathar as an Eor, Brendan, Declan agus Paul Murphy ag cruthú Oasis Alínta Ceolmhar mar bhaina ceol uair nua, the four of us.
Sits beside me when I am on my own, sleeps inside me with her own liquid ease. She comes around to keep me company, and when my body's bruised and sore, she dims her lights and locks every door, leaves me legless, too blind to see. She takes my arm to kill me gently, so tired I can't let it show. I can't let go. She hits me with her eyes, she leaves me paralyzed. She hits me with her eyes, she hits me.
There's no downside to an interest in music. There's just no downside, you know. It uses practically every part of the brain, you know, so it's just a great interest to have. And growing up in Newry in the 70s, the Troubles were a backdrop to everything, and music was an escape. You know, it just seemed like another world.
Was cantar túthe tíomh mí dúirchan trá de hismóirí na Murphys. Bhí siopa geal glachadóireachta ag an nathair Gerard, agus bhí amáthair Ellen a torteard an trúr bóchalaí agus an bheirt chalíní Ceol.
Well, I was singing from I was at primary school. I sang at concerts out at home and sang on holidays abroad and all that sort of stuff, you know. There'd been all sort of Sinatra, Crosby, Tony Bennett even. That sort of stuff, you know. By the way, I never got paid for it. Even up to this day, I never got paid for it.
My father, I think, thinks that, you know, the music come primarily from his side of the family, but we actually think it's from the other side. Now, my mum wouldn't probably agree, but the fact is she's got a beautiful voice, and her father, my grandfather, had a lovely, lovely voice.
Daddy would have gone up practically every evening and played a bit of piano, sang to himself, and I just thought the house was a nice place if there was music in it.
Hastíú na tismóirí go leanú a báistí leis an tradition seo agus corú ag ceachtain na pianoid. Haidin si le Brendan a bheith sinnam ó bhí sin í seog, agus be léir gró a géirigh a geal le Declan ar na gitar.
A tháinig Declan Murphy thugam mar scolar nuair a bhí sé ceithre bhliain déag dis nó mar sin. Agus dá sé lomthart fa trí bhliain. Ba scolar ionta armú lé, chuid sé achan rud a haspan mé dó agus fiiste sa léir ag an am dórú a chríos dí sa Ceol.
Ba vinnig a híú ar na páistí a bísí Ceol héna henam de cuairteoirí sa teach.
Remember You're a Womble was one of mine. And Gary Glitter, I'm the leader of the gang. I used to attack that with gusto. At a certain point, started wearing a bit thin. I remember at one stage sort of saying to Declan, look, what if me and you do something together? Because Declan could play the guitar, because I knew that would have the embarrassment.
And this was the first song that we ever did back then, and we're still doing it. Blackbird singing in the dead of night, take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life you were only waiting for this moment to arrive. Black.
Bhí clú ar an cheol punk agus new wave ag dearú na seachtaidí agus thosaí Brendan ag sinim ar na drumaí le banna ceol áitiúil ar gurach lo ór an móra an lé chasú. Hiig sin ar mhórdóchaid ór an héna chomú rud ar ina bannaí móra I linne ar ó dúla go héan tú mar Talking Heads. Is an sinna thosaí sé héin agus a dhearthar óg Declan ag obair ar a gud órán nua chuma héin.
It was me and Declan sitting with 2 acoustic guitars and sort of learning these songs, and Paul thinking he was missing out on something, and then it was like, well, why don't we sort of form a band, and we tried to figure out what Paul could play, and I think it was between bass and keyboards, and he couldn't make his mind up which, so we sort of ended up learning both. And then we had another friend who bought a synthesizer, so he instantly became the 4th member. At that point we had no drummer, you know, so there's always going to be problems with the name of the 4 of us.
Bhí trealamh a tastal go géir ón mhana nua agus thosaí siad a casú ceol ar hráideanna na mórrinne chun airgid a híhrú. Cé go raibh Paul agus Brendan óg iad héananig an am, ní raibh Declan go fáil ach sna déaga.
So we had to persuade Mummy and Daddy to let us take Declan on a ferry and tour around France for a month. And you know what? They trusted us to do it, and you know, we did. We made the money that allowed us to buy a small recording device that we made all the demos that got us a record deal.
This is where it all started. Hasn't changed much. I think the bass was there, Brendan's drums were here, Declan was about there, keyboard was there, and we, I think around 82 maybe is where it all started. Certainly for about 6 months, until we realised that, you know, we're always going to sound like a garage band here unless we do something else.
Seachas a bheith casú ceol beo, thocraigh siad ar ór an a léirú agus hafad siad an chéad chearnín, Home is where the heart is, ar léas tafad a ceir a rion, a ceanniú leis an airgid a híhrí siad a boscail ar an tráid.
Once we had done it, I remember listening to it over and over again, thinking, this sounds like a bloody record. It sounds like a record. It's better than a record.
Bhí an grúpa nua sásta le Home is where the heart is, agus chuir siad isteach ar chomórtas a bhí feice acha ar chláir ceol MTUSA. Ach sulla gcuirt siad iartas isteach hastíí fís an mutha a rathú leis an cearnaí nua. Dírí le Declan a bhí a freastal ar choiste alína, trealamh a áil ar chios, agus hafad an grúpa a bhí seán héin.
You right? Dunno. Hang on. What?
We had no budget. It was shot on a camcorder, and we got a land of the school gym, and we shot some of it there, and the rest was shot, I think, up in my bedroom. But the editing was sort of good. You know, myself and Declan had a lot of fun editing it together. The editing sort of makes it.
Dírí leis an éisian an dara háit a bhaint amach sa chomórtas agus dírí le fásta ard CBS Records a bhealú agus híní siad leis an chólach sin ar an fointe buise.
So Paul, I noticed you smiling earlier there. I mean, are you smiling because you see a red and rosy future ahead of you?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's. I think we're just on the bottom rung, and just because we're signed, I mean, we think this is where the hard work begins, really.
Thosaíonn grúpa ag obair studio profisiúnta áit ar hafad siad a géad album Songs for the Tempted.
From you, was that fun or just a bad thing to do? I've been him down, and while you play, I'm waiting for the
Cé gur éirí go maith lena géad dá hingil, Just Can't Get Enough, agus Drag My Bad Name Down sna man Ceol, by an tríú single a chur ború ar cháil an grúpa néireann.
Oh, Mary, why don't you have some sense? Please do something to restore my confidence.
Scríomh Brendan an Tóran Mary nuair a bhí sé bliana déag de is, ach níor tháinig se chun solas a rís go dtí gur heastaí órán fuaimúil mutha blianta beag an éisian.
Making lots of money, I'm thinking all the hell.
Declan said, what about that song that was written years ago, the one, Mary's got a new job, that one. And he sang the melody of it. And then I remember thinking, well, if he remembers the melody of it and the lines of it, they must have something. So we put it on the record, and thank God we did.
Oh, Mary, why don't you have some sense? Please do something.
Bhí Mary mar sort fuamraon agus me sé an ollscoil mé firste. Agus bhí luchar orm nuair a thugan BBC crew don grúpa chum Ceol chur ar an Arden san waterfront leis an Ulster Orchestra. Agus rinn siad Mary agus bhí Noel Eccles mar drumador. Agus inné bheit géisteach leis an áran sin ar fáinna blianta gan sinna eáil is rudíontach visualization.
You have some sense. Please do something to restore my confidence. Oh, Mary, why don't you have some sense? Please do something to restore my confidence. Let it go, no.
Tá coppla rud faoin óran sin agus tá na lyricaíon agus tá scéal an óranon. Far ag caiú go holt le ban agus tá sí sásta ghlacu leis. Ach an sin smuintíonn tú ar an rithim a héan leis agus ní honan an dá rud ar tharabaí.
An fá gur chuir sé sin a bhaim chomór le daine ag an am na go bhfuil scéal siimplíon agus an rhythm sin a héan tríd an óran ar fad.
To restore my confidence. Oh, Mary.
Now, at this point, you just know that song's not going away. You know, we don't own it anymore. You know, the busker in Grafton Street that I heard doing it last week, he owns it. You know, or the guy that is here singing in the pub, he owns it.
Chur an Tóran Mary go mór le rath agus cáil in a grúpa, agus bhí díl iontach maiid dá réir ar Songs for the Tempted.
An talbum sin, Songs for the Tempted, win sé an dúis Album of the Year in 2009. Bhí sé in achan teach bhí achan in géisteach leis agus is dócha go bhfuil an CD sin sa teach agad áit éigean Beidir faoin lába.
Mar thorúir an rá seo, bhí the four of us ar cheann den na bannaí ba cháiliúla sa tír ag tús na nóchadí.
The best new Irish act of 1989, upside down, goes to a band who released about 4 or 5 singles. They've all got into the top 10. They've released an album that has gone platinum in Ireland. They're called The Four of Us.
Always I just wanted to thrill you. Eventually I wanted to kill you. Just don't blame me. You're dragging me across your scene and class.
Go luas na nóchadí bhí an éilú ar an grúpa The Four of Us as uircin trá, agus na sála ar an album clúteach Songs for the Tempted bhí an tahananta sa bhí a álacha le dul méid.
You're dragging me across your scene.
The war na socrí a camcuirte tháinig athú ar irin an grúpa agus nuair a dag Steve Mallon thug Paul faoin bheirchláir, John McCandless faoin dard guitar agus Peter McKinney faoin na drumí. Chuir na Harry seo go mór le fuaim an bhaine ar státe. Rud a dá go ró the four of us inis lárnach sa cheol dón de India bhí a fás in éireann sna nóchatí.
Just wait and see.
Bhí na nachatí an iarmúil agus sprágúil ó híomh cheáilte a gohairithe ceol có-aimseartha ceol, pop ceol, rock ceol an seo an éireann is Kevin Lum hart fan am sin bhí Hot House Flowers ag teacht an tosaí fásta, bhí Something Happens, bhí Stunning, bhí siad na ag teacht an tosaí agus bhí glúiseach de cinneal grúpi indie an seo an éireann agus bhí sé sin an sprágúil spéisiúil ar fad agus sílim duinear bé ar ó simachú in san ceol ón tréimhse sin is bug duine nach mé chur amach acu ar na grúpi sin ar fad mar sílim gur hanig sin le chéile.
We were odd though because we were Nordies really, and we were Northerners, you know, whereas it was primarily they were all Southern acts that were part of us. But it was great because we sort of felt like we sneaked in. It was very exciting to be part of that.
When my body moves down shore, she dims the lights and locks every door. Leaves me legless and too blind to see. She takes my arm to kill me gently.
Win album an grúpa Man Alive an Gradam Irma album na bliana amach sa bhlín 1993. Bhí the four of us a buint ansoltas an síle an mhór agus iad a sinna mas cór slúirte mór ag féilsí mar trip to tip agus féile.
There's about 12 of us that you know, obviously go out on the road, that you'd be touring whatever country it is, and they're all friends. Most of them are friends that we've known since we were about 11. So it's a bit like an extended school trip, really. You know the way people used to always sit in the back of the bus, and everybody looked for the back of the bus. They wanted the back of the bus to be sitting in. Well, it's like 12 people all looking for the back of the bus.
It was just about as good as it gets in your sort of late 20s. I think I might have been nearly 30 at that stage, you know. And at that, you know, friends and all other friends had got their jobs and whatever, and I thought, yeah, you know, this is living, and it certainly was.
Fuoi lár an óchodí bhí the four of us in a gcónaí le chéile mé firste agus studio tafada sa teach. Was a studio seo a tosaíú an tríú album ón na grúpa. Amplifier bhí mar hidiléir ach foríir ní deathorú a bhí ar an phróisis.
With Amplifier, we made a couple of terminally bad decisions. One was we said we were just going to use electric guitars, and we said we were going to have it very fast, and that was really great fun. If you're making an album like that, I think the secret is to make it fast, because your eardrums and your energy can only sustain it for so long.
Right,
we unfortunately spent 3.5 years on it. By that stage, I didn't care whether I heard another electric guitar for the rest of my life.
During that whole time, I enjoyed it. You know, it didn't bother me. It was like, because we were in the studio and it was like, you know, making a record, and then at the end of a few years, it was like, you know what, I'm tired of this, let's scrap it. It didn't matter. It was just like, you know, I enjoy the whole process of it.
Bhí 3 bliana caite agus gan eismhaint ar go fáil. Ní ró an lipéad ceol sástal seo agus chuir siad dearú lena gonra le the four of us. Tréimh sé chinúnach a bhí an grúpa agus bhrá Paul gró sin am ag seaú siar ón grúpa.
I think at that stage I had just decided that that particular way that we were going wasn't the way that the band was meant to go, and that this was as far as my story with the four of us was going to go. And there was never any rancor, you know. It was always like I think the thing is we really like each other, you know.
He decided to go and do something else, whereas for Declan and myself, we sort of knew from the get-go that this is what we were going to be doing, and we were going to keep doing.
Bhí an dara cóheanú den na grúpa the four of us inis ar an nód agus Brendan agus Declan ag crí lár na grúpa, le ceoltarí eile teacht agus a gimimecht de réir mar bhí gálo. Bhí seo fórstannach den grúpa agus iad saor óna sríanta a bhain leis an grá legan amach a bhí ar grúpi Ceol. Eisiú tríú album an na grúpa Classified Personal sa bhliain 1999.
Urhain hí the four of us a gul a bheith sa chéad rud mór eile, chéad grúpa mór eile, an chéad U2 eile. Agus Beidir gur fearr dóibh nar hála sé sin. Mar thóg siad an tam, scríb siad a rud i héin, rinn siad a rud héin leis an Ceol, agus sa deireadh crochí siad Ceol galanta a Warren.
She's beat, dead on her feet, and she sings in a midnight gospel choir. Her soul bare, she just stares at the stars.
Sílam, an tam sin bhí siad ag forbert sear an Ceol ar na rudí a chuí rompu ins na hachtatí agus ins na náhatí agus Jerry leo mar bhí Heaven and Earth special de mar album fásta agus tá siad ag tógal ar an sin a réichanama agus tá mór óraing ag teacht amach chu ar ahan cearní na bhí an acu.
So tell me it's alright if I get close to you. Tell me it's alright if I knock on your door. The shadows are coming out and I think I want more.
When we play, it's the guitars, at some point it becomes hard to tell where one guitar ends and where another one starts. And I think when people go to live shows, they're looking for that. They're looking to see the chemistry. They're looking to see the chemistry that creates this sound. And it's not an accident that sort of chemistry is found so often in family members.
At the stars.
Nuair bhí an beirt na trúir deartha a mana Ceol le chéile, Chlann, the McGarrigle sisters, the Henry girls, the Murphy boys, tá sé san acu go léir. Agus sílam go bhfuil siad fóstar an ód in i cúgrin is féthir mar gheallar an gheal adrathú agus tá go Ceol có uair is a bhí riamh.
See the sky crack open, blades come hovering down, shooting lightning bolts down an empty street. Daddy shouts now, go to sleep. I got a bird's eye view.
Tá Brendan agus Declan in is a tafod Ceol da seachtú album Sugar Island in almost da maladóchis uorchin tra.
Tá U2 ag bailile clia is le deireadh, the undertones, ach is linne in your contra, the four of us.
I think myself and Declan feel like we're still, our sort of best stuff is ahead of us.
Sílam mat a banna Ceol sásta tuairt faoi ábhar faoi cruasachúr, faoi órain ura, mátá siad sásta an Ceol socu a bhrú a gcónaí agus rudí ag an a chrothú in ainneoin go bhfuil siad le chéile le breis agus cuaig bliain is féin, sílam go bhfuil socúlacht agus comport éigean le mothú in san méid sin go bhfuil siad san sásta go fáil a bheith ag tuairt fan Ceol agus a chur amachchan sin a más go phobal.
If I had done anything else for a living, I think I would have spent all my money going to shows, buying musical equipment, and trying to write songs in my spare time. You know, I'm still waiting to be sort of tapped on the shoulder and someone to say, hey, time to go back and get a real job now, you know. We've got to a place that's sort of, you could only have got there if we had have done it in the dysfunctional manner that we did.
I wondered how long it could last, you know. And now it's closer to 30 years than it is to 20. So that'll be good. It'll last long after I'm gone, you know.
I got a bird's eye view.